I have a new strategy. Maybe I'll look at earnings, what companies have earnings this week, and if they're close to their 52-week low, then maybe they'll go up once they report earnings. And the opposite is true. If a company's close to its 52-week high, when they release earnings, the stock will go down. And it doesn't matter whether the company releases good or bad earnings. It's really dependent on if the price has already been pushed up. Does that make sense? Like, because a stock is a company, so the value of that company is X. So let's just pretend there's a real value for every stock, and say it was $100, the value of a stock. That's a true value. And it was trading at 80, a few weeks before earnings, and then people bought it and eventually pushed it up from 80 to 110. So even if they report great earnings, the stock comes down, and people question, why did the stock go down if they reported good earnings? It's just because the price was already pushed up too high, so it was good to come down regardless of what happened. And same thing if a stock if there's a sell-off before earnings, people think they're going to report poor earnings. So it really doesn't matter if they report good or bad earnings, the stock goes up. So people always question that, like, how could a stock go up with bad earnings and go down with good earnings? It's because of just the movement of the stock. The earnings have really nothing to do, unless the earnings were extreme. Like, earnings really don't mean that much. It's forecast means more, because earnings are usually just baked into the price already. So $0.02 billion of revenue. That's what we already knew, that information. The new information we didn't know. We don't know the forecast. That's the new information that we're getting. And then the asset, the company that's the asset, is repriced based on the new information. Because if you understand bonds, stocks make a lot of sense, because a bond is just a fixed instrument where the principal and interest payments. So you can easily value a bond, assuming the person or the entity that sold. Let's just look. Let's see who has earnings this week. Zscaler. That's an interesting company. And let's kind of do this chart, and then see if we are onto something, or if it's just a waste of time. Even if we were totally off with this idea, it's good to think about this stuff, because the more you do it, the kind of better you become at it. I don't want to. 31 billion. Let's just pick, if it's above 10 billion, let's track it. Or if it's a popular company, let's track it. These don't look popular, so let's just go with $12.2. That looks weird. $12.2. That looks better. Okay, so Zscaler 12.2. Who's 12.3? Do you think interest come down, gold going down? I don't know. It's a good question. If interest goes down, does gold go down? I mean, the idea of gold is to hedge against the market. So usually people think of gold as the opposite of stocks, which usually doesn't actually happen. But so if stock prices go down, gold should go up and vice versa. But I don't know. I don't know how interest rates affect gold. Salesforce, that's a big one. Marvell, that's a pretty big one. That's a semiconductor company people were looking at as a possible $1 trillion company, because anytime a company is really successful, like NVIDIA, people always say, what's the next NVIDIA? And I remember people talking about that. If anybody knows any, I'm choosing anything above 10 billion market cap. But if anybody knows of any stocks that are under 10 billion that have earnings, let me know and I'll add it to the list. $12.4 RBC. Wait, RBC's ticker RY? It should be RBC. I guess somebody took it. Synopsis. Did anybody know that in Excel, if you press Control D, it copies whatever's above? I learned that recently. So if I wanted to copy RBC into this cell, instead of doing Control C, Control V, instead of 2 steps, just hit Control D. It copies whatever is on top to the bottom. And if you want to copy, if I want SNPS to be in this cell, I can hit Control R. It copies whatever's on the left over, including formatting. Like, say RBC looks like this. If I hit Control D, it copies exactly what's above. Saves a little time. If interest rates go down, someone can more easily borrow to purchase gold. Well, if interest rates go down, debt becomes cheaper. But why would they buy gold? Like, you could say that about everything, right? If interest rates go down, then this asset goes up. Why would they buy gold? Dollar Chewy, Dollar Tree. Chewy's a big one. That's one people are looking at. Chewy. So I'm putting together this chart. Earnings this week. 12.2. 12.6. And I'm going to try to track it to see if I can identify stocks that were at their 52-week low. Maybe we should have bought them before earnings. So Chewy. Okay. This is Wednesday. So 12.5 Thursday. A lot of banks. 3 Canadian banks are reporting on Thursday, 12.5. TD. BMO. CIBC. Kroger, Lululemon. So Thursday looks like the best day. Lululemon. From Viva, Hewlett Packard. A lot of big companies on Thursday. A lot of companies are over 10 billion market cap. HP. Friday is usually not much going on. Friday is usually the worst day. There's only 5 companies. Kirkland's. Isn't that Costco's no frills brand, Kirkland's? Kirkland's. This is probably not the same Kirkland's. Because if you shop at Costco, that's what they sell. Kirkland's, that's their brand. It's a home improvement retail, so that's different. Yeah, oil should move with inflation. Everything kind of moves with inflation. I mean, every asset generally goes up with inflation. Especially things that are needed, things we can't live without, generally go up with inflation or even more. Because if there's certain things we need to live, that has to go up in price, and things that we don't need end up getting pushed away until, like, it depends on your income level, but certain things get pushed to the side once you have to put more money or more percentage of your income towards like living and eating. Do you think oil will go up reflecting inflations? Okay, so BHP. Well, let's see if oil does move up, but it's kind of capped because certain things go up forever, like but oil kind of like moves in a tighter range, because once it goes up too much, then there's more kind of supply, and then it pushes the price down. Because a lot of companies that make a commodity are waiting for the price to hit a certain point before they can sell the commodity. Like if you're a gold miner, how much is an ounce of gold? $26.59. So if you're a gold miner, and 26 for an ounce of gold, so you might have, like, say you have 3 locations where you pull gold. And so the cost to pull the gold probably varies by location, because some locations it's cheaper for whatever reason. So say it cost you $1,200 to pull gold in location 1, and then $1,500 in location 2, and $1,800 in location 3. So you're pulling from all 3 locations most of the time, but you're not selling everything you pull. You hold in reserves. So you might hold location 3 all the gold in reserves because you can't afford to, because it cost you $1,800. So you can't afford to sell it for $2,700. There's just not enough cushion. So you have to wait for it to, just to give you an example. So you need a 50% markup, for example. So location 1, you could sell all your gold because it's above $1,800 is the 50% markup. Location 2, you hit the $2,250, but location 3 is $2,700. So you can't sell it. You have to hold on to it. So it's kind of like oil, the same thing. Like once it gets to a certain level, like if gold was 10,000 an ounce, everybody and their mother would be selling gold. I mean, all the gold miners would be flooding the market with gold because they want to take advantage of the high price, and then that pushes the price lower. So that's why commodities generally it doesn't go up forever. Like a regular stock will go up forever. But that's why they pay dividends. So like if you invest in a utility company or a commodity company, you get a dividend because they know you can't grow that commodity forever. It doesn't work that way. Does that make sense? I mean, it makes sense to me, but I haven't really explained that too often. Because that's why, like, all commodity companies, they pay dividends, and people say, why don't they just retain all the money themselves and grow the business? It's just like you can't grow it. Like, it's kind of like I think a good example is a railroad company. Like if you're a railroad company, you can't just retain all your funds and grow and add more railroad tracks. Like it just doesn't work that way. Like you could add railroad tracks in some places, but it's not like selling a product where you can just market more and then maybe start selling in another country. Like it just doesn't work that way. The only way you can grow your business if you're a railroad company is to acquire another railroad company. You can't just lay down tracks. I mean, it's not that easy. It's expensive, and you need approval from a lot of people. So let's see. Why does Exxon lose $10? Okay, so here's the 52-week range. This is a good exercise, I think. If you're a swing trader or a short-term trader, you probably would be looking at this stuff. The 52-week, the moving average, that's another good thing to look at. Why is this not working? So it's 23% below its 52-week high. What's it trading at, BHP? 52.65. current. Okay, off. What happened? Okay. Okay. Come on. I guess once I get the spreadsheet set up, then I just have to plug it next time. It's 3% above its 52-week low. Okay, I just want to get the formula set up. And it's 24% below the high. D. Let me know if anybody wants a spreadsheet. Like I'm doing with the other ones. Damn it. Okay, I'm looking for D. E to D. Wait. D. Well, that says 24% below its 52-week high. Why is it different? Come on. God damn it. I guess that's just not updated. That's probably as of... Okay. Come on. Okay, here we go. So we're looking for... So this is only... So it's only 3% from its 52-week low. And it's far away from its 52-week high, 31%. So this implies that BHP is trading close to its 52-week low since this number is low. So this would be a situation where we might buy the stock because there's more upside than downside. This is just pure math. It's not like any kind of looking into like the fundamentals. But once we get the math down, then we could maybe dig into a few that are trading close to their 52-week low that we think are good stocks that will be moving up. Okay. I mean, what do you think of the strategy? I just thought of it. And then we could build into other things like the moving average and the RSI. The Z-scaler 206.59. Even though you could pull this, like you can set it up on Google Sheets where they automatically pull it in. And I do think that's probably better, but doing it yourself, you do get a little closer to the numbers, and you'll remember it better. So when you kind of use this, because once you learn something, like once you do something enough, like a sport, and it's part of your knowledge base, you don't really have to think about it. It's more of muscle memory, which is where you want to get to anything. Because the more things in your muscle memory, the less you have to the less energy you have to put towards trying to remember that thing. And it makes it easier to learn new things. 52-week low. CRM. Like Warren Buffett would never use Google Sheets to pull in information. He just reads the I don't go to that level. I do use computers for a lot of things, but 212. But anybody notice that I started adding to my, well, you probably haven't seen, because I did a bunch of videos. So I added to when I do the industry comparison, I added 52-week low and 52-week high, and I added percent from 52-week low and percent from 52-week high. So I just did snowflake, and that's trading 26% below its 52-week high. It's trading further from its 52-week low, because I think it's 175 now, the stock, and the low was 107, the high was 238. So it's trading closer to the high, but Marvell. So that's 50 and 95. So Bank of Nova Scotia. RBC. SMPS. This wouldn't work for NVIDIA because it's always trading at its 52-week high. It just keeps breaking every time the market opens, it's up 2-3%. It just has a new record every day, it seems. 458, Dollar Tree. I wonder if you can just trade strictly on, I know a lot of people do it just on the math, not looking at anything underlying, just pure math trading. You can make money on anything. You could make money playing slot machines. Like if I play $100 every day, slot machines, there will be plenty of days I make money, and I just talk about that. I only talk about the days I make money. That's what traders do. A lot of these people on YouTube, they only talk about the days they make money. They never mention the times they lose money. Bank of Montreal. So you Canadians, you have a lot of banks, especially on Thursday. Canadian banks are pretty good because they avoided the subprime prices. $38.66. It's probably a waste of time. I probably should set this up on Google Sheets. It'd probably be a lot faster. The reason I like to do Excel because if I share my Google Sheets file, isn't it? I don't know. I guess you have to be set up on Google Sheets also in order to get the maybe it'd be easier. I don't know. Yeah, I'm getting close to 40K. It might be this week. Bitcoin? Yeah, I should do a video. I just don't know what to say. It's just explaining how Bitcoin came about and showing you the price of Bitcoin over time. Like, I don't know what to say to add any value to maybe I could look at like the charts and chart it, because I can't look at any, like I can't look at revenue. I can't look at, like, there's nothing fundamentally I can. Will Bitcoin reach 100K? Well, yeah, definitely going to reach 100K. I put $100 into Bitcoin, and I'm up to 330 now. I wish I put more into it. Let me add a filter. Okay. Okay, let me add a filter. Any other data fields you think are relevant? So, I'll be right back. Middle detectors. Every time I leave and come back, there's more subs than so that implies I should just leave and never come back. I would have millions of subs, of views, not subs, but viewers. Okay, so So this is my theory. If it's close to a 52-week low, then regardless of what earnings are, the stock will go up, and vice versa. So this is a good candidate. Because it's 3% off its 52-week low. You can see how close they are. The current price is pretty close to its 52-week low. And it's 31% away from its 52-week high. So generally, stocks regress towards the mean, right? This is another, Toronto Dominion is another candidate. I guess that's it. I mean, this is 15% Dollar Tree. Actually, we should take the difference between the high and the low, because look at Dollar Tree. They are 113% below its 52-week high. So that's a pretty wide range. That's actually the widest range. Yeah, we should take the difference. That would probably be okay. So the difference. So the difference would actually would be the best indicator. Because if something like like that chart I showed you earlier, this was software companies. AppLovin was 800% below its 800% above its 52-week high, low. Yeah, AppLovin. So this was 800% above its 52-week low, because it's such a wide range. The low is 36, the high is 336 in just the past 52 weeks. The price of oil is capped. There is no shortage of supply. Well, we did have, with oil, we kind of had a supply issue in the United States, at least. But then we figured out how to make oil in unconventional ways. Now we're the biggest oil producer in the world. So I'll do the absolute value of this minus this. Because I want to get rid of that negative. So the difference is 28. Well, for that stock. Okay. So in this case, we're looking for the highest number. And I guess it is Dollar Tree that has the highest number. If it's a negative number, that means it's trading pretty close to its 52-week high. So we'd probably want to avoid it. If it's a positive, then it's trading closer to its 52-week low. And the higher the positive, the more upside potential the stock has. So I guess if we filtered out, like you see for Zscaler, it's trading 26%. It's trading at 207, which happens to be exactly in the middle of its high and low. So it's trading 26% above its low, 26 below its high. So there's kind of like no, even if it there's like no, assuming it gets back to one of those averages, there's really no upside. If that makes any sense. I'm not sure if it makes sense to me, actually. But, okay, so these are the 4 stocks we identified as candidates. But we're not looking at fundamentals, or we're not looking at like anything. We're just doing pure math. So the most upside potential is Dollar Tree, according to this, just because they're so far away from their 52-week high. So the point is, they're at 71 now. And in the past 52 weeks, they were as low as 60, and they were as high as 151. So we're making the assumption that it's not going to go below its 52-week low. Of course, we know it can, but we're playing the odds. It's kind of like when you gamble, you play the odds, even though you know there's a possibility. It's kind of like if you have a 15 in blackjack. We'll make it if you have a 13 in blackjack and a dealer showing an ace, you hit. Even though you know you might bust. It's possible, but you're playing the odds. There's more cards that are going to help you than hurt you, and the chance of the dealer turning over a card that's going to beat you are pretty high. It's not a great situation. So we're just playing the odds. So the downside, they could go down. There's 15% downside potential, but there's over 100% upside potential. I'm not sure if earnings will even benefit this stock at all. It might not. I mean, obviously, if this was the case, everybody should buy Intel because they're trading at a 20-year low. So there's a lot of upside potential. But I think we'll just do the 52-week range. I think that's a little more. But this is not a long-term strategy. If you did play this strategy, it's more about a few months at most of holding the stock. So Dollar Tree, it's been public for like almost 30 years. 180 was its peak. What is that? 2022? 180 in 2022? So the chart we're looking at, 151 is a 52-week high. So if we went 2 year, if we went for the past 2 years, then their high is even higher, 180. So if we use that as our benchmark, they have 154% upside. It's a lot of upside, right? But you don't want to go back, like I said, Intel, you don't want to go back to the year 2000 because it's a totally different company 25 years ago. But this is within the past year. They were 100% higher. They were more than double where they are now. But if I'm right, if Dollar Tree over the next few weeks doubles in price, it's just luck. I mean, it's kind of like rolling a die. If I get it right, it's just luck. I mean, there's some basis for what I'm doing, but it's still a decent amount of luck. So gold and interest rates are mostly negatively correlated. Does gold move with interest? Relationship between interest rates and gold is a bit complicated. In general, they historically have an inverse relationship. Gold prices rise as interest rates fall, and gold prices fall. However, as recent history has proven, it's not a direct correlation. That's what, when people say gold is a good hedge, if you look at the price of gold, it kind of moves with the market. At least what I've noticed in my lifetime, especially during like when it crashed from COVID, like so did gold. It was not like when a market goes down 20, 30, 40% in those big crashes, I don't see gold shooting way up. It usually just moves with it. The only difference is they're kind of the upside and downside for gold is capped. Like a stock could go to zero. If the company is losing money and no one buys their product, the stock will go to zero. The company will go bankrupt. But gold can't go to zero. It's commodity can't. A company that sells gold could go bankrupt, but gold itself can never really go to zero, unless there's an alternative in the future to gold. But that's a pretty remote situation. So what were we saying? Dollar Tree? Okay, so Dollar Tree, yeah, they're running at a pretty big loss. What happened to these dollar stores? I thought they were performing well. There's another dollar store that's they're mostly in lower income rural areas like Kentucky, things like that. What's a Dollar General? I think Dollar General. That seems like it has a good business model. Yeah. MSTR. I actually just did a video. I haven't edited it yet. Yeah, I want to release that. I mean, of course, it's going to seem overvalued because they're not really generating any revenue, but that's not what they do. They're all about buying Bitcoin. So MSTR is a really interesting company. All they do, at least since 2020, they issue preferred notes or convertible notes, and they use all that money to buy Bitcoin. They're the largest holder of Bitcoin in the world. And they used to be a software company. They've changed. They still are, but like you can see their revenue is flat. It's been 500 million for a while. So they're not. They still do that. It's kind of like one of those. You know that pizza store in the Italian neighborhood. They do make pizza, but it's really a front for the mafia. They just need a business as a shield, so no one suspects anything. So you can like run the money through the business without any problems. That's kind of like what they do. They're a software company. That's a front for a Bitcoin. Yeah, it's really it. But the thing is, it's gone up more than Bitcoin. Like it shouldn't be going up more than Bitcoin because that's what the company is, Bitcoin. But it's up like it's beating Bitcoin by like 50%. Michael Saylor, he came up with the idea. It's so hard to find just the 10K or 10Q. Like, why do they make it so hard to find? Okay, here it is. So they have 8 billion of assets. 7 billion is Bitcoin. So that's pretty much their that's pretty much what that company is. Revenue, you see, revenue is down. It was 45 million last year for the quarter. Now it's 39 million, but it doesn't matter the revenue. They're going to eventually not even get any revenue from this business. It's just a waste of time. So the I mean, if you're in the stock, you could have made a ton of money. So you'll see the video. Where do they get the money? They sell preferred equity, convertible notes. They sell convertible equity, which is they sell debt. But whoever buys the convertible notes has the option to convert the debt to equity, and that's why people want it. So they had 132,000 Bitcoin at the end of 2022. And then this is each quarter since then. So at the first quarter of 2023, they had 140,000. So they added 7,500 Bitcoin. Now they have 250,000 Bitcoin. And this is the price of Bitcoin. It used to be 30,000. And now it's well, wait. Oh, that's their purchase price. That's not how much Bitcoin costs. That's how much they bought it for. So they bought it before this big surge. And that's their value of their Bitcoin. But it's gone up a lot the past few months because the price of Bitcoin. Okay, here this shows us the price of Bitcoin during the time period. So it's 21,000 in 2022. Market price of Bitcoin. So this is how many Bitcoin they held. So they held 132,500 Bitcoin at the end of 2022. The price of Bitcoin was 21K. So their market value was, I guess, 2.8 billion. They had 2.8 billion Bitcoin in 2022. And you see it went to 4 billion next quarter, then 4 billion. But you can see it really jumped. At the end of 2023, they had 8.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, and that went up. So over 9 months, it doubled. They did buy more Bitcoin, but the reason their value doubled is because the price of Bitcoin, because they own so much Bitcoin. By the end of 2023, they had 189,000 Bitcoin, which they bought for like $20,000 or $30,000 each. Their cost is under 40,000. The market cap should be around 20 billion. That's a lot more than 20 billion in market cap. So they have, it's 250,000 Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin is 100K. So that's 25 billion of Bitcoin they own. but I think they're worth close to 100 billion. Actually, I forget. So, they're worth 87 billion. So they're worth a little more than 3 times the Bitcoin they hold. So I mean, but people are buying the stock. That's why it's going up. It's not if I have if I in my bank account, if I have $100,000, no one would give me, if I want to sell that, no one would give me more than $100,000, right? But it's the stock market's not reality, so they just keep bidding the price up, even though the assets are only worth 25 billion. That's why it's hard to invest in. But in my video, I explain it, how they come up with the money. I'm trying to find where it is. Okay, here it is. So they issue convertible notes. I think in 20. Okay, here's a good chart. So in 2020, they issued 2025 convertible notes, and they raised $650 million. And they only paid 0.75% interest. So that means if you hold the note, you get 0.75% interest. And then when the note matures, you get paid your principal back. Or these people are killing it because they bought the stock. They were able to pay $40 for a share of stock. What's it trading at? Once $387. So they're killing it. They 10x their investment because they bought the stock for 40, even though it's trading at 387. And then the next year they issued $1 billion of convertible notes at zero. They didn't even pay any interest, but people still bought the notes, and they did really well too because they converted their debt and to buy stock, and they just paid $143 a share. Why would you buy Mr. shares instead of Bitcoin? Well, it's doing better than Bitcoin. Like it's beating Bitcoin is up like something like 200%. I can't remember the percentage, but they're up 50% more than Bitcoin. So you would have been better off buying this stock than Bitcoin. I'm assuming it's going to come down a lot, the stock, but so there's the risk. But so they issued, but interesting that's the only time they paid 0% interest on the notes. In 2021, they started paying interest again, and the next time it's still low, 0.6%. But this last round of notes, they're paying 2.25% interest. So this implies it's getting harder to get funding because they're having to pay a higher interest rate, and they raised $800 million. But they have to pay these notes back. So actually, they don't, because these people are going to convert. They're converting their debt to equity because they all got a good price. Yeah, he's doing well, Sailor. So the market is pricing in Bitcoin running, then or else it makes no sense. Well, it's kind of like same thing with all the meme stocks. It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you overpay for a stock? Well, the reason you're overpaying for it is so you can sell it later at a higher price, hoping other people overpay for the stock. That's all they're doing. I mean, you can't. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't think it'll be a long-term investment. I think it'll come down. I think it has to, but it's kind of like a Ponzi scheme. It's fine until it collapses. So as long as everything's going according to plan, what's his name? What's his name? The Madoff, yeah. So Madoff was doing a great Ponzi scheme. It lasted a long time, and some people knew it was a Ponzi scheme, but they still said, just don't say anything, because they wanted to keep getting their 10% return. But it has to fall. I'm not saying this is a Ponzi scheme, but it's kind of like, I don't understand how it could keep going up. But I wouldn't short it, because if you short it, imagine shorting it, even at 200, you could have lost so much money. No, it's not. Crypto is not a Ponzi scheme. I'm just giving you an example. I mean, crypto, it's a real thing, and and I don't think it's gonna ever go away. It's just currency. It's a currency that people have bought into. But yeah, I don't know how MSTR is going to pan out. Because he has to pay these. Well, I guess he doesn't have to pay them back, because maybe that's why the stock went up so much, because this was a few billion in notes. So that means all these people got stock that's worth a few billion. So that kind of pushed the stock price higher. Yeah, I saw that. I remember looking at that when I was. So it got real high in the .com, during the .com time, and then it just, for 20 years it didn't do much for 20 years, and then it came up with this great idea, and now it's. Currency is fiat. Well, Bitcoin is currency, right? I mean, the US dollar at one time was backed by gold. So, and that it was still currency. It wasn't fiat at the time. It was still considered currency. And I think it's a commodity, or trying to be. But it's kind of like Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering cards. There's really no value in that paper, but once you get enough people to buy into it, then it's worth a lot of money. Like baseball cards too. Like, I've spent a lot of money on baseball cards, so it's the same thing as a currency. Once you get enough people to consider it valuable, it is, and then that's just the way it is. Yeah, it's worth whatever people willing to pay for it. That's exactly it. And if people are willing to pay X amount for your home, that's what your home is worth. And if nobody's willing to buy your home, then that's what it's worth. Yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, it's just a different type of thing to value. I guess the value is that Bitcoin's going to go up to, like, it's going to keep going higher. It'll be 200,000 and 300,000 and 400,000. So they're buying it as if it's hit that level already, because it's only 25 billion of Bitcoin. I mean, they don't even report 25 billion. They report 7 billion. I'm not. Oh, this is okay. So this is how they do it. So as of 9:30, this is where it gets a little confusing, but so they had 252,220. That's how much Bitcoin they had as of 9:30. And on 9:30, well, they don't say how much. Okay. The value of their Bitcoin. Okay. What they do is they pass through a big loss every single quarter. You see this digital impairment losses. They pass through a lot. The value of the Bitcoin is, according to their balance sheet, is 9.9 billion, which is 39,000 per coin. That's what they paid for it. So a company can only report what they paid for the Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin is worth a lot more than the balance sheet indicates, because you can't increase the value. It's similar to real estate. I mean land, because it's not, you don't amortize land. So it's similar to land. Is once you buy land, it's carried on the balance sheet at that price. Even if the value of the land goes up, you can't increase it. You could decrease it, but you can't increase it. So that's so 252,000 Bitcoin. So this is what they paid. This is the worst keyboard. It's okay. That's what they paid for the Bitcoin. And this is what it's actually worth. I don't know. I'm just gonna put 96,000. I'm not sure if that's what it's worth today, but it's probably close. So it's actually worth 24 billion, but the balance sheet won't reflect that. But that's kind of like that's regular accounting. You can't increase the value. You have to record on your balance sheet what you paid for it, not what it's actually worth. It's just accounting rules. You can't report a gain unless you sell it. Then you report a gain on your income statement. It's exactly like land. You have to record it at the price you paid, and the balance sheet you can't, because they don't want people juicing up their balance sheets. So that's why they made that rule where you can't, because companies would do that if they had the ability. They would inflate their balance sheets, and no one would really know why. It's an unrealized gain. But another wrinkle in the equation is that they're passing through losses every single quarter. This quarter they passed through a $400 million loss on an impairment, because you could impair intangible assets. Like it's treated exactly like land, so they can pass through impairments. And that's what they're doing. They're impairing. Hey, Steven, what's up? So they passed through a $400 million loss on their income statement. So you can see revenue 39 million. Well, total revenue 116 million. So total revenue 116 million, gross profit 81 million. But they have a loss of 430 million because they passed through a $400 million impairment loss on their crypto, on their Bitcoin. Even though Bitcoin didn't go down in price, they're passing through a loss because of it's mainly because of how much they have to pay back their the preferred shareholders. The loss is tied to the preferred shareholders because they have to pay them back, even though they don't pay them back because they're gonna convert their debt to equity. But that's the that's kind of like the loss to them, the loss in stock price. Let me see if they explain it better, because digital impairment loss is 412 million. From time to time, the company's execution partners may extend short-term credit to the company to purchase Bitcoin in advance of using funds. During the we were subject to a first priority security interest and lien in order to secure payments. While trade credits or delayed settlements are outstanding, the company may incur interest fees. Oh, it's not related to the. I think in the video I said it's related to the. So it looks like they have to borrow. They sometimes borrow money to buy Bitcoin, and these are the fees they paid to borrow money. While trade credits or delayed settlements are outstanding, the company may incur interest. Oh, it's the interest they paid on the money they borrowed to. No, I think that is the interest on the. It is. It's the interest on the convertible notes they issued. Some of the notes, only one note has zero interest, but some have interest. So this is. So as of December 31st, 16,000 Bitcoins held by the company had a carrying value of 263 million on the company's consolidated balance sheet. Okay, so right here. So here it perfectly explains it. No, it says collateral for aren't convertible. These are senior secured notes that they it's debt they used. So they took on this debt and paid a 6 1/8 interest rate. So, and they used the funds to buy Bitcoin. So that's the interest they paid on those notes. Okay, senior secured notes. The company issued 500 million. I'm looking for that table. I guess it's not here. 6 1/8. Right. I said a quarter, then I changed it. Yeah. So they issued $500 million of debt at a 6 1/8 interest, paid semi-annually. The redemption consists of 515 million. So that's it. That's just it. I was looking for that table. Yeah, this is table. I was looking for that. So this is different. This is different debt they issue to acquire Bitcoin. These are the convertible notes, but I guess they needed more debt to buy more Bitcoin. So they in the past 9 months, they sold 3.2 billion of convertible notes. They also sold 1.2 billion of common stock. Yeah. It's interesting, right? I mean, it's kind of crazy. So their only expense is the interest expense, which is recognized as impairment. Must be bigger demand for preferred shares now. Well, as the stock price goes up, it's less appealing because it's getting expensive. Like when like these 2025 convertible notes. So you in December 2020, if you bought these notes, the stock was like $10. The stock was $10 when you bought these notes. So now you're killing it if you got these notes. In June 2024, it was a $204 conversion. And you're doing really well with that also. June 2024. So you're probably like, it was probably like 100 in June 2024. But now if they issue convertible notes, it's going to be like 1,500 a share in order to convert the debt to equity. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to buy convertible notes at a $1,500 share price. That's what they're going to have to issue it at for people to buy the notes, because they can't issue it for lower than the stock price. So it's kind of like now you'd have to pay a lot of money. It's like buying a stock when the stock price is really high. It could be a good move. It could be risky too. So I don't know. Yeah. Like these people were real smart. At the time, I'm sure it sounded like a stupid investment. Why would you pay, especially the people in 2027 notes? They get 0% interest. All they get is the ability to buy the stock at a certain point in the future. That's all they get. So why would you give $1 billion just to buy the stock in the future? Just buy the stock. But they did really well with that. But it's got to collapse because people aren't going to keep giving them billions and billions of dollars. Well, if Bitcoin goes down in price, then that's how it collapses. So it might collapse for like a year or two. Like remember Bitcoin? Remember in like what's the ticker for Bitcoin? BTC? Okay. They don't give you it. I don't know why they don't. I mean, Bitcoin was pretty flat for a few years. You can't really see it on this stupid. Okay. Finally, it's so hard to. So, yeah, Bitcoin from like 2018 to 2020, so 2 years, it didn't do anything. And then it had a big surge in 2021. So from September 2021, so a year and a half, it didn't do anything. It came down and came back up. It's going to be the same thing. There's this big surge, and then for like a year or two, it's going to do nothing, most likely. And then it'll be another surge. So during the time, like if it reacts the same way it did in 2021, like it comes down 50% and creeps back up back to where it was over that time frame, it's going to cost them a lot of money because they have to pay the preferred shareholders back, and so then the stock won't do well. So it went to 16,000 in 2022. Right. Yeah. I mean, it got real low, but that's how any asset does. You know, nothing really goes up forever, except Nvidia. Everything kind of regresses. This is just a little more volatile because even if you look at any stock, it's gonna. There's a lot of corrections along the way. You like Meta, it got real high in 2021, and then over 2 years, it just came down and back up. So no, it's not. It's never going to tell you who lenders are, unless it's a really big company. You might be able to find it out, but you can't really. Yeah, but it's pretty cool. But the video is coming out this week. I did a video on. Well, this idea, we kind of strayed away from this idea. Let's see how this pans out. So today I did Snowflake, Invesco, Mr. Hut 8, a Bitcoin mining company, Starbulk, and CrowdStrike. I still need to edit all these videos. But yeah, email me if you want a copy of my Excel file, and try to watch the videos over and over. Well, just let it play in the background while you do something. Yeah, I learned a lot myself, Jeff, going through it, and but okay, yeah, thanks a lot, and I'll see you next weekend, I guess.